Hi there, Dr. Sheep here. Welcome back to TGIF Talks, episode 163. I'm your host, Dr. Sheep, joined by guest today, the Fearsome Rhino, or Nate, as he's commonly known.
Hi.
Hi. Alright, let's roll the intro. One of these is not like the other. Man, the footage from that intro is ancient.
I went back and looked earlier at like one of the beginning podcasts, and just see the evolution was funny.
Oh yeah. It has it's crazy. So it started off with just recording it on a GoPro, basically, and then Phil didn't want any audio, didn't want any visual, so we went quite a few before I finally convinced him to do visual. And then at some point, I was watching H3 podcast at the time, and I was like, I see what these big podcasters do, and I'm like, okay, I need to emulate that. And I wanted to emulate that. So I'm like, okay, so I need to have a computer. So then I started using my computer to record things and do that kind of stuff, and got an actual mic, but I was still using the GoPro for visual, and then realized that I didn't like plugging and unplugging my laptop all the time, so I bought a entire laptop dedicated to that, sold it to Phil. After we did that for quite a while, it turned into just this for quite a while, and then Phil comes and just sits next to me, and we just record everything on the computer now. Yeah, the evolution's interesting.
Well, I mean, evolution of everything. I mean, everything grows over times and evolves into what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then I can always, if we have 3 guests, I can always run stupidly long cords out to my living room. And
It works. It works.
yeah, and then because I don't know if you've ever seen I don't think it was the last episode with Buck, one of the previous ones though, because I think the last one we just did like this.
I don't remember. I watched the one where it's like titled something about taxes or something like that. That's the one I watched, and y'all were all sitting together in a room.
Yep, that was definitely then in my living room, just across this wall. So
yeah.
Anyways, so we were discussing before the podcast, for everybody paying attention, this is why we just started it now. It was his degree. So what are you, where are you going, if you want to share that, and what are you getting?
I don't want to share where I'm going. I am going after my degree in ag business. I have some of the certificates already from when I was in high school. I did dual enrollment for the ag business for a little bit, so I like certificates of small farm sustainability, so on and so forth, and just going after the actual diploma now.
Okay. See, at the University of Nebraska, they were like, okay, so I wanted to be, when I first did, I'm making a mess over here. When I wanted to pull out my knife to fiddle with it, when I was at the university, well, before I started going to university, before I was deciding what the heck I want to do with my life, and I had just decided that I didn't want to be a shrink anymore. I was just like, I had a bad time in biology, and I was just like, screw that. Is there something else what else can I do with myself? And so I went on a tour of UNL with my cousin, and she was just like, yeah, they're in charge of the Ag Econ department, and they looked at me, and they're like, yeah, so you can do Ag Econ or you can do Ag Business. Either one, they're pretty similar, but they said that the Ag Econ is a lot more flexible. Because I was kind of interested in we have an Angler, we call it the Angler program at the University of Nebraska. It is our Ag Business Entrepreneurship minor. And so it's a really cool thing because it really helps foster new businesses and that kind of growth. It's it was quite unique when they started it way 10, 15 years ago. But now it's kind of, there's a lot of other universities that are starting them, or even community projects that are starting to do something similar to this. But anyways, so they're like, if you want to be able to take whatever kind of classes you want, because I was still pretty interested in science, they're like, do ag econ. And I was just like, oh, okay, sure. So I did that. So I was like, all right, I'll do ag econ when I get to college. And then
I'm starting to regret not taking that right now. Because I didn't think I'd be doing this right now. I thought I'd be still farming. And so now, once I get done with this diploma, I'm going to go back and take actual business.
Right.
I'm going to go back for an actual business degree next.
Honestly, I think ag business will be just sufficient enough. I mean, I don't think there's really anything more than a business degree. I guess it kind of depends what you want to do. Because that was another thing. I didn't realize this until like a year into school, maybe even longer, halfway through, that when you select an option, so like you have your major, and then you can have an option like within that major, at least at UNL, and when you select that, it drastically changes the classes. Maybe that's not all majors, and maybe that's not everywhere, but from what I can kind of piece together, it drastically changed things. Now, granted, I also took very different classes than what most people would probably take, because I was just like, oh, that sounds interesting and not hard at all. So I took that class, and I was the only person in there with a degree in ag econ. So it's like, okay, this is peculiar, to say the least. But anyways, so I don't know. You could probably get away with just a regular ag business degree, but you know, if you what a lot of people do in YouTube space, and I don't know if this is, I am not professional, so do not take every word I say with the truth. Take it with a grain of salt. Is a lot of people, they end up just going to like community college and just taking classes in business, just generic business classes. They're not getting associates. They're just taking night classes basically, and that helps them, and classes in entrepreneurship, and then that helps them, you know, figure out what they're doing. A whole degree in ag business, it could be really helpful. What year are you, I guess?
Oh, ag bit. So the way I did it is I started at a community college, and so I did most of my. I think it was like I technically did 4 semesters worth in community college.
Okay.
And then I was transferred out to the main college I go to now. So I should be in. I believe I'm in 4. I'm not sure. I quit guessing a long time ago. I just show up to classes. with my work schedule, I just show up for classes and we get it done. We get go.
So you're almost done.
Yes, I'm almost done with this degree.
All right. And so do you feel that maybe it hasn't prepared you for being an entrepreneur as well as you might have hoped? Is that
not for the side of YouTube? It's a whole different ballpark entirely than what they teach you. Right. YouTube is a whole nother monster that I've been slowly but surely tackling.
Right.
I mean, matter of 1 year, 20,000 strong. And that on by itself was an accomplishment to me.
Yeah, well, Buck and them, they really got you going there.
Oh, Buck still got me going.
It's YouTube's such a gambit.
It's a gamble and a half, but now, I mean, even at my stage, like, people don't believe me when I say it. At my stage, I'm able to actually, I have an editor I pay, and I have some people that I have that help me out with other things like SOA and stuff like that. Stuff I just don't honestly understand.
Oh, I wish I could afford that. That'd be nice. That's probably what I need.
Well, the channel pays for. Well, the way I do it is the channel pays for itself, and then I do other odd jobs and stuff like that to pay for my day-to-day living.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer in you spend your first 1 to 2 years, you spend everything you make from your channel or your business and put it right back into it to make it as best as you can.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what Jimmy, Mr. Beast still does. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He did start paying himself, because his mom was like, "You're gonna need to retire someday," and he's like, "Oh, I guess." I think it's also when he bought a house.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But so that'll be interesting. I don't think, because I feel like a lot of the guys in the farm sim, I don't know about Grant, but I feel like most of them probably don't even have a degree, and you'll have one.
Yeah, Grant has a degree for sure. There's a large number that do have a degree.
All right.
So somebody who I helped bring up from the depths, his name is Chris, aka Socksway Up. He has a degree in full development. I forgot what exactly it's called. He does like development. He designs stuff for a software company, and he has that degree in that. I know I'm gonna have this. I don't think Buck has a degree. You may know that better than I do.
He does not.
That fits him. Yeah, and then then you got Kedrick. I believe he has a degree. A lot of the older guys have degrees. Yosho has a degree in welding engineering.
I guess that doesn't surprise me, because they started off having 9-to-5 jobs, and then played farming sim on the side, and then decided, hey, I should make a YouTube video about this, and then it turned into, as a hobby that makes a little bit of money, and then now it's like, I can turn this into a job and then replace what I do for 9-to-5.
Yeah.
So,
that was amazing to me when I realized that I actually made decent money. I'm like, what kind of world? Why would I want to go get a real job when I could do this?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the kind of situation I was in.
I dream every day of like the day that I can become a YouTuber. I'm just like, because do you know the unemployed friend memes?
Yep.
That's you. When you become a YouTuber, you become the unemployed friend. I mean, you have a job, and maybe you guys would be more busy 9-to-5, in the office and stuff. But for what I want to do, I wouldn't be in the office. I'd be, on a Snapchat story blowing something up, and they're like, what? Does this guy have a job? No, that is my job.
Not for us. We record religiously.
Yeah. You guys are in the studio all the time.
Yeah, our studios, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We record a lot. I know with Grant, I record roughly 3 hours at a time. On top of that, every night, hardly I record for about another 4 or 5.
Yep, 9-to-5, pretty much. Except it always sounds like that. Recording with Grant's never start on time. From what I hear.
If you show, let's just say this: you better not have something you have to do after recording with him. Because if you do, just go ahead and throw that out the window. That you're not making it at that point. You're just not making it at all. That's just the way Grant is. You just don't make it. It's done.
Do you just so what happens in that? Are you just is it because you just because anytime Buck and I do a podcast, we always end up BSing for like an hour afterwards. Same with Phil. Is it that, or is it like he's like, oh guys, I have this other idea, let's do this real quick? Or is it just, I didn't like that take, let's do it again, and you just over and over and over again until you get it right?
It's not that we're doing it over and over and over again. It's, give me 1 second. It's what I get. It's what I get for having chihuahuas, I tell you. No, but I was saying, it's BSing. We'll BS for before, but it's weird. So we'll BS for 30, 45 minutes before recording. Mm-hmm. But time we're done recording and we get the thumbnail, right. You cannot keep none of us in that Discord call. We're all gone instantly. Time the recording stops, we're gone. It's hilarious to me.
I could imagine. I mean, you're all probably pretty good friends at this point, so that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all know each other. We all talk somewhat friendly.
I always just kind of imagine, though, that Jake gets in there and you guys just have to, try and control him. I always kind of imagine him as kind of the loose cannon a bit.
Jake, in my opinion, was never a loose cannon. He was always one of the people who's like, we need to get started, let's go, trying to keep everybody straight.
Okay, then he's definitely... Okay, so that's another question I have for you. So, some YouTubers, right? And I was listening to either it was your stream or Buck's stream. Somebody asked, "Is Grant the same off camera as he's on camera?" And then Buck or you answered yes. So then that's my question about Jake. So Jake must be different off camera than he is on camera. Or he must play some sort of character, because a lot of YouTubers, they kind of go into a bit of a character to do it. You know, they're
so with Jake, the best way to explain him is, in this, I think I'm decent friends with, so I can say this. He has a character he does play somewhat. It's not like I'm playing a major character with him, but you can tell it's a character. He is very business orientated. Business is like, you want to know anything about business, really and truly. No offense to Buck, Jake is kind of where I learned the business side of YouTube from. Brilliant man all the way around. He can come up with an idea out of nowhere, but also he doesn't keep it so serious to where, you know what I mean, it's like walking on eggshells when you're around him. Now that's Grant. Grant's the kind of person, Grant's like super business compared to Jake, though. Right. But
okay, I guess that makes I get that vibe, right? Because like Jake, you could think for a minute like, okay, yeah, he's like, all right, so the quarterly profits will be up by 69%, nice, and then back to seriousness. Is that kind of how it is?
Yeah, we just wish it was up by 69%. We'll be lucky if we get 2. We'll be lucky if we get 2% this month. But how about see, that's the one thing I hate about YouTube is this is the worst month out of the year for YouTube.
Yep. Welcome to January.
Yep, the January. I mean, views are up. I love it. The views are at least up.
That's great. That's great. Love when views are up. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know you that you're in school and you see that's what I went to when I was in school. I met a lot of people that went year round. They started off at a community college, or they did a lot of classes at a community college and then went to the university. But something interesting I did notice was I was in the university has 10 ACE courses, they call them. These are courses that can be kind of geared towards your major, but basically they're your like everybody takes these,
Yeah.
Classes, except for the last one, your ACE 10. That's your capstone. That one is specific towards your major. Sometimes you're writing a quote-unquote thesis. Sometimes it's preparing you for a doctorate or your master's program. Sometimes it's like, getting you ready to be a teacher if you're going into teaching. It is, unlike the other ones where it's just like, these are just some bullcrap courses you're going to have to take. You just deal with it. This last one is definitely geared for you, meant for you. So I'm in this class. So I took 3 of these things at the university. I don't ask me how I managed to do that, but I took 3. And I finally took the last one that was actually meant for my major. And I'm sitting in there, and the professor would ask a question, and I'd be raising my hand, and they're like, "Did nobody else? Did you guys like who knew about this?" And I'd raise my hand. Part of it was because we would be going over statistics, and I was literally in a stats class at that time. And so I would be like, "Oh yeah, what's his face talked about that literally yesterday." And anyways, I got after class one day, and one of the people in the class was be like, "Yeah, I took intermediate macro at the community college. We didn't go over any of the stuff you're talking about." And I'm like, "Oh, I took mine on city campus." And we went over it. And they're like, maybe the community college, which is cheaper and much easier, maybe it doesn't prepare you for the rest of the university courses as well as it could have. But of course, I'm also a nerd. And so, and I also didn't take notes, but I sat there and just listened most of the time. And yet you can soak up a lot in class. A lot of people, they kind of just, they sit, they're too busy taking notes, and then they just go and study the notes afterwards. They take the test, and then they dump. So it's very possible she was doing one of those where she would just literally study, memorize for the test, and then brain dump. And then she just never realized, oh, they talked about insert this subject here in intermediate macro. Have you taken any econ classes, I guess?
A lot of you. I've been doing so much. I believe I have. I believe I've taken one.
One. Yeah, we, because the ag business at UNL, you take a surprising amount of econ courses from what I was told from my other friends who were ag business.
So the way it worked is, so a lot of the way the reason I don't know what I've taken really is because of the way that they've done my classes. When coming from the community college I did, they didn't really do a lot of econ classes. The classes there were just like super easy. Really and truly, I firmly believe you wouldn't have to show up to class and you would have passed.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
It was those kind of classes for some reason. And I still showed up, but we really just didn't go over a whole lot. And we kind of skimmed through those courses as fast as we could. So I believe I've taken some, but then again, I just haven't been really doing a whole lot. Right now, I'm in like the easier classes, I like to call it.
That kind of sucks. They don't go over it in more detail because it's especially like it's it kind of
every teacher has their different way that they teach stuff, and I was one of those students in a way that you could give me a piece of paper with the top 5 notes on it, and I'll be able to pass the entire test off those 5 notes.
Yeah, it kind of goes 3 ways, right? When you're in school. So when you're in high school and below, if you're not being taught what you should be taught, if you're getting a subpar education, one, you're cheating out the parents who pay the taxes for you to go to school, and all the people who don't have kids but still pay the taxes that pay for you to go to school and pay those teachers' salaries. You're being cheated that way. And then you're also being cheated as a student, because everybody jokes about how high school doesn't prepare you for real life or doesn't really accurately prepare you for college. When I was in high school, we took a class that did actually prepare us for real life. They taught us how to do taxes. They taught us how to balance a checkbook. They taught us valuable things that have come in handy later on in life. So then you get to college, you're not necessarily cheating out the parents, unless of course your parents are paying for your school, but you can still be being cheated out. And then, but then you're also you're being cheated out, not just because, you feel like you deserve a better education, but you're being cheated out in the fact that you paid for this. You're working full time, or you're taking loans out so that in the end, you can then pay them back. But if in the in-between time, if you're not getting the education you want, you're not getting what you feel like you're paying for, that's just sad. And that, I hope that it's not happening at a university, especially, or a institution where you're paying for it.
So this is where that's why I did the community college. Mm-hmm. The community college, and the reason I did dual enrollment, my college paid for me to go do that dual enrollment.
Okay.
So I didn't pay a single dime to go do those first few years, and that's just why. Right. I mean, and I figured it out. Yes, I have taken 2 classes of that so far. The reason I didn't figure it out is because they were underneath the agriculture business certificate, law certificate.
Law.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So is that your option then? Are you ag business law, or are you just in general?
So I did ag business law. So for us, the program for ag business in that community college we went to, at least I went to, you had accounting, ag business law, and then you had small farm sustainability, and then you had another one. I can't remember the other name of it because it was something really irrelevant. It was like 4 main certificates that you would get, and it would teach you basically anything you need to know about agriculture. You would know it no matter what when you left that place. And the only reason I decided to go a little bit further with it and to get the actual full degree is because eventually my goal is to become the first person in my family to have a full doctorate degree.
Oh, good for you.
I just got to choose what that's going to be in. And so going with business, it gives me access to a lot of other those classes, the core classes that I don't have to retake those, and I can use those to my next, my actual degree I'm gonna go for in doctorates.
All right. Just a word to the wise. From what I've been told, doctorates are rough.
Yeah,
Doing YouTube and getting a doctorate, that's going to be tough.
yeah. I mean, I'm taking it slowly. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'd rather take 5, 6 years to do it than just to sit down and get it done all in one day.
Right, right. Will you ever share where you went to school?
No,
No, never.
no, because of the fact of I like privacy. Same reason, like I don't show much face. I'm a very private person.
Fair enough.
Um, because I'm a firm believer. Once you open up that can of worms, you can't close it.
Yep, you absolutely cannot. There's no going back.
Exactly. So as long as I can, I'm closing that wall. Because I have people who I work with that I go out and hang out with friends or something that have no clue who I work with or what I do for a living.
That's crazy. I couldn't
As far as
imagine.
they know is I do something online. That's as far as they know.
Ah, yes, work from home. Damn that.
Exactly.
Oh man, we were talking about that today because we got dumped on with. Well, actually, I shouldn't say we got dumped on. We've only gotten like 2 inches thus far, maybe 3, but we're supposed to get like 12 of snow, and I don't know. It's funniest thing, right? So like, we never from when I started working here, we've never been let out early or never started late. We never had a day off because of the weather, not once. And my boss is telling me a story where the old market president, one of the last times he did that, the sun came out, it was sunshiny and rainbows, and the snow all melted that day. And he let everybody off early. So then, kind of here at the company, it was just like, okay, or at least in in the town I live in, they're like, for the branches, they're like, okay, let's not do that again. And so they're super stingy about it. That's the funniest thing. Today they're like, okay, there are a lot of people that drive cars, and the side streets aren't going to get cleaned. So sure, everybody goes home at 4 when there could be some people that would work till 7. So like, oh sure, go home at 4. And it stopped snowing. It's been kind of lightly snowing. There's like a little bit, but nothing to where it was, and it still hasn't picked back up. And it is now 6 p.m. So this is when the majority, all but like 2 of the branches, would be going home right now. Would be the last of them, because it'd be the drive-throughs would be closing right now. There'd be like 2 branches that'll still be open. They'll be open until like, I think almost 7. But
Yeah.
that'll be a total of like 4 people. That'll be like a total of 4 people, maybe 6 at the most. So
it's snowing up there.
it was.
It was.
It
So I gotta know
was.
this. So this is coming from someone. So like this is publicly known. I live in the South. How is it living with snow every year? Because I don't get it, but maybe every 8 years, 8 or 9 years.
Depends. If, let's say it came on a Sunday, it could snow 2 feet on a Sunday. I would not care. I don't care. It does not bother me. It's when I have to drive and the streets are a disaster. And then it just makes life just that much more difficult. Because, like, now, my commute... Because here's the big thing. I was talking about, like, potentially... I was almost, like, going to take this position at this other company. And... they're still thinking about what they want to do, and that drive is about the same time it takes for me to get to my current job, but it is almost twice the distance because it's all highway driving instead of in city. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if it snows, I have 4-wheel drive, so it's like it's not the end of the world, but if it snows enough to where I can't go more than 35, 40 miles an hour compared to the 70 I would normally go to this job, it's going to take me way longer. It's going to take me like an hour to get to work or more. compared to my current job where the speed limit's already 35 majority of the way. So at the worst, I'm only slowing down 5, 10 miles per hour less. I'm not cutting my speed in half. So, and it's also, it kind of depends where you live. If you live outside of the city, oh god, it's the worst. Snow is just, you're white knuckle driving like this. Of course, that's if you're me. I hate it. It's the worst. I can't stand it. I hate snow. It's the worst.
But, see, I would use that as an excuse for Grant. Grant asked me, why are you late today? It was snowing outside, so traffic was bad getting here.
Exactly, yeah. It just, it's an inconvenience. It's, it's the last snow we got was on Christmas. It was just before Christmas. So we had a white Christmas. So it was just like the movies, which was great. Except for it was inconvenient to drive that morning. But by the afternoon, the thing is, the things have changed since I was a kid. A lot. So when I was a kid,
hope so.
Huh?
I said I would hope so. Things have changed a lot since I've been a kid.
Well, with the snow patterns, we get a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot less frequently. And it's a lot warmer. I have not broken out my heavy coat yet. It has not been, there's been one morning where it was below 20 and it was only 18, it was 18 degrees.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's been a lot warmer, but I feel like this should have been a little bit cooler than the last 3 years.
Maybe down south, but here, last year, I don't know. Yeah. I guess I don't, according to all the records, last year was really warm, but it didn't feel any worse than it had been the previous years, but except in the winter. The winter was warm. Last winter was warm. And this winter has been very warm. We're finally going to get actual January weather at the end of this week where it's going to be freaking 1 degrees as the high.
Yeah, see, we're expected, I think it was like last week, we got down like to 34, like 34 30s. Like that's free, but that's freezing here.
I know.
For us.
I know. That was the high today.
We grew up here.
34 was the high. And that was at 7 o'clock this morning before the snow started. The warmest part of the day was 7 a.m. Oh, man. Actually, truth be told, though, today's been not too bad. Other than all the snow. Snow, interesting thing about snow, fun fact, is that it can't snow if it's too cold, and it can't snow if it's too warm. It has to be in a specific temperature range. Now, it can be windy, which will make it feel really cold, but if you've ever been, of course, I guess you haven't experienced a lot of snowstorms. If you ever get the chance to come up here and experience a snowstorm like today when there was no wind, but there's supposed to be blizzard-like conditions tonight. But this morning, I was out in the parking lot at work moving people's cars. The boss had asked me to move people's cars and put salt on things, and it wasn't half bad. It was pleasant. My gloves were soaking wet from moving snow, but apart from that, it was quite pleasant. It was dead silent. That's the snowstorms are crazy. If there's no wind, it's dead silent. And I'm in the city, so all there is just the distant traffic noise or like people's heaters running. Otherwise, it's like dead silent because no animals are out and about. Nothing. It's dead silent. All you hear is just your feet going through the snow. That's it. It's a surreal thing, and it's like 30 some odd degrees, which I guess is really cold for you guys, but it's downright tolerable here, 30 degrees.
30s and 20s, like I think the lowest I've ever seen it get was like 22. Was the lowest I've ever seen it in my life. Now, of course, like when I went to Illinois a while back, of course I saw it get like a lot lower up there, but in Georgia, period, it don't get that cold.
You want to come to Nebraska Saturday? You can experience 1 degree.
No, Not unless Buck says I can sleep on his couch, and I don't think he wants me to do that.
he's got 2 apartments.
That's
Brother
true.
rents 2 apartments, so
I know he does.
he's got the room.
Still his computer while I'm at it. I mean, yeah.
Shh, we wouldn't do that. No,
No.
I'll keep you away from my
No.
place. I've got a better computer than Buck.
Just need the 4090s.
Huh?
So whoever's got the 4090, let me know.
I don't have a 4090. I have a 2080 Ti. He's got a 3060 Ti.
Yeah. See, I just have a 3050.
They are announced. I thought they were going to announce today. I don't know what happened to it. I thought they were announcing the 50 series cards today, but maybe I was wrong.
I don't know.
Maybe they'll find out tomorrow.
We'll find out eventually when they're announcing them. Because
Yeah.
whenever those announce, I'm buying me. Whenever those finally launch, I'm hoping it'll drive the price of 40s a little lower so I can afford one, so I can pick it up. Because for the people who don't believe me, Farm Sim is the worst game for graphics ever. Like, you put more than like 100 mods into your server, you will be lagging till the sun comes up.
Oh yeah, mods. Yeah, mods is the. Well, I see. I watched your video, and yeah, it sounds like it's weird that they don't give you access to the game engine so you can properly make mods. That just. That's just not.
That's something that a whole lot of people really don't know. The closest thing we have to the game engine is the Giants editor. We have no actual information of how the game engine works, files unlocked where we can build the game or stuff properly. We don't have that access.
What? That's crazy.
Oh, never mind.
Maybe they'll find out that if they give game engine access, maybe people are gonna find out that they have been, because like I was watching Farm Sim, and I'm looking at like how things are rendering in, and I think to myself, and I was like looking at like when Buck was playing American Farmer, and then there was also then Farm Sim. I'm looking at how things are rendering in, and I'm like, is that really as far out as we can render? I mean, the graphics on the vehicles are great for Farm Sim, for the most part. But then, like, everything else is kind of just subpar. And I'm just like, is that really the best we can do?
So, I believe you gotta remember, this game is made for console as well.
That's true.
And you gotta remember, not only can I sit here on my computer play with an Xbox person and a PlayStation person at the same time, so the game has to be on the same playing field as consoles.
Right.
Now, do I feel they nerfed this game a little bit compared to what it could have been? Yes, because this game, when it originally launched, it also not only did it launch for the new gens, it also launched for old gen. It was the last Farm Sim game to be launched for old gen, so they held it back, in my opinion, so that we can still play with the old gen guys for the last time. Now, the next one I do expect more because they are not utilizing these new gens hardly what they need to be.
I would hope that the next Farm Sim was going to look better. I really hope. I don't even play the current Farm Sim. And I'm thinking when the next one comes out, I might get back into it. Now, I'm not going to be doing Let's Plays. I am thoroughly 100% burned out from Farm Sim Let's Plays to the cows come home. I'm done. I cannot do it. I was putting in 40-hour work days just grinding soybeans so that I could buy a new piece of equipment. And I'm like, I can only watch a tractor harvest soybeans for so long before you start to go insane.
See, that's why we had that perspective of, that's why I like with the people I work with, because I founded a group called the Heyday Homies. And what we do is we're a group of 9 individuals who we just get on record. And because I feel like interaction with other people keeps the game interesting.
It definitely would. I was all solo. I played with like Buck and the guys like once. We plowed some snow, had a great time. But
especially, yeah, you just never know. But like, I will say this. I mean, see, I can get away with saying some stuff because I am not a Giants partner, nor do I ever want to be a Giants partner. So I can get away with saying some stuff that normal people can't really say because they're all Giants partners. This game has its flaws up and down. So the game itself, I mean, they call it a multi-core game. They did the bare minimum to make it a multi-core game. It's legitimately only 2 cores. It's 2 cores. That's all the game is. It's 2 cores. That's all it can support.
I always wondered that with games. How if I hope the next one. Well, actually, I do and don't hope the next one. I've got a.
The next one just has a new game engine. Period.
Yeah, well,
it needs it needs a brand new one because the current game engine, I'm having so many issues with it, and my guys are too. Like, I have an issue right now where 2 guys I work with cannot join the same server, or if they do, one of them will get kicked out every time. So but yet they can play any other game. They can play Minecraft. They can play other competitive farming games and have no issues at all. But yet when they play that game,
I don't know. LAN is weird. Because so when I played Bedrock, we used to play with my cousins and stuff, and my stepbrother. It was hard to get everybody playing at the same time. Now, granted, this is Bedrock. Bedrock's a piece of crap. Like I can't. I play on it in creative, and that's it. I would not trust it with a survival world. I just can't. So when you play the multiplayer, for the longest time, I don't know, might be better now. I haven't played multiplayer in forever, but it's junk. And I choose to believe, because Minecraft's owned by a $1 trillion company, so I choose to believe that multiplayer like that just must be really difficult, especially when you're trying to get, because with Bedrock. I was on PC, my stepbrother was on his console, and then my cousin was on his phone. 3 very different platforms all playing together, and I think the biggest problem was if I had something open on my computer at the same time, it would cause a problem. If I had Chrome open, or what was, I think we were trying to stream. Or something, or I don't remember. Maybe it was Discord. It might have been Discord. Something. There was something weird where if I had something open before Minecraft was open, and we were in that's what it was. It was Discord. It was freaking Discord for whatever reason. So we were trying to play multiplayer, and so we'd join the Discord. Be like, hey guys, let's play Minecraft. So then I'd be like, all right, join my world because I have the computer, so and I have the best internet, so I'm hosting. Like, all right, everybody hop on. And it wouldn't work. They couldn't join. But if we turn Discord off, reset everything, and they join Minecraft, then we turn Discord on, no problems. So, the multiplayer, I can't get too angry at them for getting the multiplayer to work. But the fact that the multiplayer's gotten worse since like 2017, that's a problem. Or like not 2017, 2019, that's a problem. You can't, your new game or your current game cannot be worse than your previous game in that aspect. That's just not, no. And farming is a collaborative thing. It's a community thing. It's always about the community when it comes to farming. Everybody's big about community and farming. So how the heck can Giants not get that right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do.
So, that's.
I mean, I think that game, personally, this is where I stand with it, is the combination of, A, not giving the modders what they need to mod properly, which means in a lot of bad mods, which turns people off from the game. On top of that, you also have a situation where their multiplayer isn't right. Like, there's a simple bug in Farming Simulator where they could have fixed this ages ago. Like, you load into a single player, you load into a multiplayer world. If you terraformed at all putting fences down, your fences will be floating 10 miles in the sky.
Oh.
And the collisions, so you won't see the fence there, but you'll run into it every time because the collisions are still there. So it's a simple bug like that me and you both know that's an easy bug. If we're detecting that every single time, why can they not find it and fix it? Well, they don't want to fix it. There's actually not been a bug fix for any multiplayer for Giant Software since the launch of FS22.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
For multiplayer. Single player, though.
Multiplayer. They've updated single player, but they will not update multiplayer, which it has the most issues out of everything.
Well, that's so weird. I don't get that.
Because trust me, it's really fun to sit there for 5 hours trying to find a game, try to find a server that one of your friends is in.
That's so...
Done that before.
So annoying.
Mm-hmm.
That would frustrate me a lot. I couldn't. But
when it's your job, you sit down and say, "Okay, fine, we got to do it no matter what." So let me just take my time and find it.
Yeah, yep. That's that. Imagine the amount of. See, I feel like that's something that since so Giants has these as influencers that are partners. Wouldn't it make sense from a Giants perspective that if they could improve multiplayer, which is how all their partners do it, I would assume most, if not all of their partners are big multiplayer farm sim people, and that they're not?
Go look at it. 90% or the top 1% of farm sim YouTubers that are Giants partners. Go look at that. That top 1% that are farm sim. I just know these guys personally. The top guys, the like what we call gold tier. Mm-hmm. None of those guys all those guys hardly play multiplayer. But take DJ Goham. He is the number one American guy. He never touches multiplayer unless he absolutely has to.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What does he do in the game? I played single player farm sim. I mean, maybe it's just because I played it in like pure survival or whatever. I wasn't like doing like role playing. I was just like, if let's say you're approaching this game right as like, I've never played this game before. I want to beat the game. How do you do that? You start playing it like me and you realize, oh, just grind soybeans. And I also realized that I could feasibly... So you could just sit there. So you could just do soybeans. And the thing about soybeans was... Because I was playing with precision farming. This is back in 2019. So I was playing with precision farming, which basically meant that you could just keep doing soybeans over and over and over again. You would never have to fertilize. And then all you'd have to do is lime every three rotations. But then you could just put just soybeans, just constantly soybeans, and then you could just put them in storage. Just store the soybeans, and then and then you just watch the market for soybeans, and you knew soybeans would hit a certain amount. You knew yep, that's good amount. And, if higher, better, but, there was a threshold. Once the soybeans hit that threshold, you'd sell all of them. It's not like the real world where it would just go insane, and you'd be like, if you just wait for a certain threshold, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't real, but it's a game where that's not built in, so it's not real world. So you knew there was a threshold, and you knew what the max amount soybeans could be. So basically, I found out that you could just go and sell all your soybeans, and then... that would be enough you could live off of that sale from the last 2 or 3 harvests. You could just live off of that until it came around again. And I wasn't even playing the cheap way. I was playing the expensive way where I fuel auto-filled, seeds auto-filled, and fertilizer auto-filled when you had a helper. All of it auto-filled, which is really expensive compared to just going and buying it and hauling it. But I could do things faster because then, or it basically allowed me to not have to do anything. I could just let it run, go do something in the background while the helper farmed.
You're an AI manager is what I like to call that.
Yep, I was the biggest AI manager, and so I would just have guys running where I went and did other things, and it was just all you did was soybeans, because soybeans would just make you a stupid amount of money. They didn't require fertilizer, and so I just grinded soybeans like crazy. And the funny thing was, I started the series off. I had theorized, could you start a series off by doing cotton instead of regular farming equipment? I think I was in the intermediate. I don't think I was at the beginner, because the beginner gives you equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want equipment, because then you'd have to sell the equipment. I was in the beginner, I believe. And yeah, you can. And I did. So then you just sit there and grind soybeans. Every once in a while, I'd go and do cotton, because I still had all that equipment just sitting there not being used. But when I quit, I had like 2 or 3 of the most expensive combines not the most expensive, but the biggest combines in the game. The largest headers. I had several quad tracks. I guess no. What I ended up doing to make money faster, I got into horses.
Yeah, that don't fly in FS22 anymore.
I didn't think so, because I just got the mod where you just pay somebody to go train all your horses. I got into horses, and so you'd sell your horses and make $1.6 million, and you're like, oh great, do whatever I want now. So yeah, what's the new meta to make money in FS9 and FS20? 22.
Productions is the best way, in my opinion.
Production?
It gives you something more to do. You're building up an actual economy as well as business as well as a farm.
I haven't played, because I just remember in FS19 there were mods to get productions where you would turn your wood into like wood pellets, and then the wood you could sell wood. You could turn the wood into planks, and then the planks could be turned into pallets, and you could sell the pallets, or you could use the pallets to then make other things. Is that now kind of more base game?
There ain't no kinda. It is base game now. They came out and did a full base game. Productions are base game. Even for the newest mobile game, productions are base game. So, I mean, you're able to build something more. It gives you kind of a storyline, something that you can follow to your prestige. Gives you something more to do than just harvest, get done, go, repeat.
Yep.
It gets boring after a while. You can ask me, Buck, Grant. We'll all tell you the same thing. We get tired of having to sit there and farm slowly but surely. My number one pet peeve is really, truly, I hate starting from zero, and I hate small farming. I would rather be farming at a big operation on the game, but sadly, this is the truth. Sadly, there's no views in that. Nobody unless your name is DJ Goham or Clutch Simulations, nobody really wants to watch that. So you got to tailor it to the audience, and as far as I've seen, is the audience really, really, truly love starting from zero and building yourself up from nothing.
Yeah, I remember when I did it back in 19, starting from nothing. I watched that little case. What was it? I can't remember. There was one tractor. There was this Case IH tractor that was dirt cheap, but had tons of horsepower and a big motor, and it was like the go-to value tractor. And I just remember sitting there watching it freaking cultivate with the tiny cultivator. just hours watching it, just go back and forth, 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 and you're like, what is this? What is my life turned into? I was sitting there in college, and I'm like, well, I'll just start the grind, I guess, and sit here and do homework. I didn't do that. I didn't freaking do homework. Actually, at one point, I was so just fed up with freaking college that I would have my professor on in the background during class, because it's during Zoom. This is back during COVID. So the professor would be on yapping about who knows what. I'm sitting there playing Farm Sim. Oh man, it was bad.
I did that, but with GTA 5. Instead of playing Farming Simulator, see, that was back before I knew about really starting a YouTube channel. Before I owned a computer.
Right.
I mean, this is a true story. I've only owned a computer for a year now.
A year, all right.
So in a matter of 1 year, I've turned it into a business.
Hey, that's pretty good. I've owned this computer since end of 2019. Yep, I built it just before the pandemic. Still haven't turned into a business, but my problem is, well, among others, is I'm just in a niche thing. Not niche, but like, and it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to get people. And honestly, I think at this point, I think the main channel is the algorithm is so confused by all my previous videos I've ever done. It just doesn't know who to serve the stuff to. It just doesn't know. So it's an uphill battle, realistically, which, is what it is. Like, the supersonic ping pong video, which never worked. I kept having a freaking vacuum seal leak, blah, 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 science things. It just never... 10 views, just sits there. And it's like, I spent almost a year working on that thing. And 9 months, probably 9 months working on it. Oh well. Not 9 months like all the time. There was several months where I didn't do anything. I just basically work on it for a weekend and then take a month off. None. That's how my current projects go. I literally just bought... What?
I wish that's the way it worked with Farm Sim content. I wish I could just crank out like 1 or 2 videos a month and just let it go. Oh, it'd be so a lot easier.
I mean, they just don't. I mean, my videos don't get views. But it's like, I don't have an option to like crank. I can't. I used to make science videos and we'd crank them all the time. But then I was just like, I don't have the technical abilities or the creativeness to turn those into like the big science YouTubers. They have graphics and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like, I just don't have that. It was just a lecture. So it's like, okay, we got to do something else. So it's like, all right, let's do projects or experiments, right? Something visual and interesting. But those take time. I can't crank one out every week. It just doesn't work. I can't, like, this box. I bought this box at Hobby Lobby Saturday. And my mission is to turn this box into a steel and lead-lined cage to hold a small radioactive sample of uranium. And this complete overkill, completely unnecessary. Because the thing's been sitting in the back of my closet underneath 50 pounds of lead. It doesn't need that. It honestly could just sit back there without the lead and be fine. But it's more for the meme at this point. But this is not a weekend one and done weekend project. This is going to take time and money.
I'd say this: if it wasn't for my editor, I would be a lot slower at producing videos.
Yeah, well, biggest problem is I like a cut steel.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. But anyways, well, last segment. I swear. All right. Usually I like to leave these at like an hour long, hour and a half at the most. They used to be like 2 hours, and I couldn't sit there and edit those anymore. It took too long. I would just sit there for 2 hours and just, is there a swear? No. Is there a name drop? Maybe. I don't even cut the swears anymore. I gave up on that. I just said, leave them in. Screw it. Leave it in.
My editor a long time ago, my editor dislikes me because when I was younger, I'm trying to break the habit now because of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I used to swear a lot, and so now doing what I do now, I don't like swearing anymore. And every now and then, I'll be in the middle of like doing some really good RP, and all of a sudden, one will just slip out, and he'll get so mad at me. He's like, "You ruined a good one! Oh, and you just had to say it, didn't you?" It's hilarious. All right, what's your topic?
Okay, so it goes to your video about FS23 or 24, whatever the heck they're gonna call it.
25. Everyone guesses it's gonna be called 25 because it's always called the next year.
Oh, okay. So FS25. Do you know, what are you expecting to see in it? Are we gonna get a new crop? What could that new crop be? Are we gonna get new productions? Or what do we know we're probably gonna see? Because it looks like they've been adding new crops every year for the last 2 games.
So the way this is me and the way I know the gaming and the way I've observed Giants and what I've heard from other bigger guys, I see potential in a new crop. Now, do we know what crop it is? No. Is it a good chance it's going to be a lame crop? Highly. Go ahead.
What would make it a lame crop? What do you count as a lame crop?
So another cereal crop. So you get like another cereal crop and stuff like that. Something like we already have now. I want something that's a little bit more engaging. Carrots was a really big step in my opinion. I feel like that's actually one of the most unappreciated DLCs right now for 19.
Okay.
Not for 1922.
So I knew, because like I remember when the game came out, there was grapes.
Yep.
And then I heard you mention carrots, and I went, "There's carrots now?"
Yeah, there's they're starting to add fruits in now to the game as a harvestable. Technically, carrots do count underneath that category, I believe, is what they counted as said.
Do they? How do you harvest the carrots? Do they have their own stuff, or can you harvest it with the potato and the beet harvester?
They have their own harvesters.
Oh my gosh! There's more stuff to buy.
Yeah, no, you legitimately. Now, you can find a mod that you can harvest everything with just one vehicle.
Oh, yeah, but that's not realistic. Or is it realistic?
No, it's not whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't.
Not whatsoever. Now, but that's why I count as like a crop like that. Now, an interesting crop to me would be onions, because you have to do more with that. In peanuts. Peanuts is the most likely to me. Because I don't know of a onion harvester. The only way I know of harvesting onions is going outside and picking them up off the ground after they flip them. So I don't know of another way to harvest onions other than that.
Could you imagine that in Farm Sim?
You got hours.
Huh?
You'll be sitting there for hours doing that one.
You gotta hire. So think about like there's other crops, right? Where the only way to harvest them is by hand. There is no other option. Right now anyways. Can you imagine them adding like crops to that in the game, and then you have a field full of people going and harvesting it? That would be that would not look good without context.
That'd be a good community event right there.
That would be an awesome... Well, you could definitely do a mod. Somebody can make a mod and then do a community event. There you go. There's a free live stream idea.
Listen. But here's your problem is a lot of people nowadays, when you do those community live streams, you want to have the console as well, because you want console players to be able to join. Because I'm a firm believer, if you're going to do something for your community, do it for all platforms. Don't just do it for one.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I can't lie. All my personal videos that I make for the channel are not for all platforms. Nor will they ever be. Because I mean, you can do a lot of cool stuff with the current game engine if you know how to use it right. Even though it sucks.
I always remember Buck back in the day. I don't know if he's that like that now, but everybody would just be like, what's this mod? What's this mod? And he's just like, it's not on console, not on console. Stop asking. It's not coming to console. I can't make it come to console. Stop asking. And oh my god, I never thought. When I see that in videos, I'm like, there's no way those people can't be real. And then I've made some videos and they've gotten some comments, and I just go to the comment and I'm like, did you actually watch the video, or did you watch the first 5 minutes and then go and write the angry comment? Because there was this podcast I did where we talked about burning treated wood and how you're not supposed to do it. My cousin had no idea you weren't supposed to burn treated wood. Like, I'm like, what? And I told him, yeah, no, you can't burn treated wood. And I'm like, this is a great podcast title. Should you burn treated wood? And it's gotten, I shouldn't say decent views, because 30 views is not decent. But compared to 2 views, compared to what most of the podcasts get, that's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, it's doing all right. And this person was just like, you should really, like, in like Gullah English, you really need to like redo this video, take it down, and like express how dangerous burning treated wood. I'm like, I say it. I'm like, I say in the video, do not burn treated wood. I told him, it was me. I was the one in the video that told him, yeah, you can't burn it. It's made with arsenic. And he was the one who's like, are they all made with arsenic? I'm like, yes. Do not burn treated wood. They're either made with creosote or arsenic. There's no other in-betweens. Both are horrible to burn. He didn't understand that. And this commenter is just, I think they only listened to what Phil said. They didn't listen to anything that I said, which was, don't do it. It's just... People
don't listen. Or then you got this situation where you got those little kids. The reason we receive so many questions is just kids.
Oh,
I guarantee that every person that comments that easily says it probably about 12 years old, if not younger. I mean, that's why I try not to cuss anymore, because there's a whole generation of kids looking. I mean, according to my YouTube analytics, there's at least 15,000 kids, looking up to me as an adult making content. You know what I mean? So that's scary at times.
That's when I'm like, thank God I make science and kids don't care about science. I wish they did. It'd be great if kids watched it, but it's like, whew, thank God. Because then I can kind of just play fast and loose with safety.
See,
I don't tend to, not always. I'm very safe. I literally just bought a face shield the other day because it'd been on my list of things to get. So it's like, I have all kinds of safety glasses. I've got gloves, and I just don't have like a lab coat or apron, but otherwise I'm pretty safe. And what's interesting is a lot of people would say I'm unsafe because a lot of times when I'm doing stuff outside with chemicals or anything, I don't wear sleeves. You shouldn't wear sleeves. It's in some cases it is better for the chemical to end up on your skin than it is for it to end up on your lab coat. Because it will react with the lab coat faster than your skin, causing a fire, because they're usually made of polyester, which is highly resistant, but not impossibly resistant. And so, which then catches fire, which then burns you. So, unintentional safety.
People just don't understand the way the world works. I mean, you have those people that on YouTube think they know every bit of knowledge that you know nothing compared to them, and it's aggravating.
Oh yeah, there was a time where somebody would ask, or with kids, it always irritates me because like they're always like, "Where's this thing?" And it's like, it's in the description. Or they ask a comment and they're like, "Why didn't you do this?" I'm like, "Did you read the description?" It's in the description. Like, if there is something I missed in the video, I put it in the description. It sounds like pinned comments are the way to go now. And I never understand, like, oh, where's the link to this thing? Did you go to the description? And I remember this kid that watches me. I'm like, he left a comment on the video, and he literally asked this question, worded it just the way I knew they would ask. And I said, did you read the description? And he went, no. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. It's in the description. I'm not answering it. I even said in the video, I'm not answering it. It's going to be in the description. You're going to have to go to the description and read the description. Now, granted, I guess, if you have kids watching, the description's a bad place because they might not be able to read.
Yeah.
Which is a wild thing. I remember one time, you see the bad grammar, and you're like, what in the world? You're like, oh, this person's 11 years old. They can't write. They might be able to read. They should be able to read, but, sometimes when you're someone like me, I use words that, let's face it, 11-year-olds probably don't know. Actually, on Wednesdays, I volunteer at my old high school, and I coach speech. And I wrote a speech, and one of the kids there, she's going to give it. And she was reading the speech, and she's like, what's this word? I'm like, you're 14 years old and you don't know of this word? She's like, no. And I'm like, I knew that word when I was 14. Why do granted, I was a nerd, but still. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? It's kind of a weird thing. You gotta remember, these people just straight up just don't know. Because they just haven't lived long enough. Isn't that a wild concept?
Oh, yeah. I mean, believe it or not, no one believes this one. I don't do comment. I don't do descriptions. I don't put like any any like important information in the description other than like partners like with G Portal and stuff like that. My American Farming links, just like friends and stuff like that. That's pretty much all I put in there is because I know the kids who are watching, they don't care about that description.
Nope.
And to be honest with you, I've proven YouTube don't care about that description either.
Nope. And I know you're right about that because mobile, you have to hunt for the description.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what? Because a lot of times, somebody be like, go to the link. And I'm like, oh, I actually want to see this product they're making. Or this website. Like, ooh, I want to buy that product in the video. I go to the description, and I'm just like, what is this? It's usually a disaster. And you're just like, what? Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times, it's just not linked. And I just go like, seriously? I might have actually bought insert product here, and I can't. Thanks.
My favorite is when people say, oh, I'll put the link in the description. Never put the link.
They never do. Now, I've done that accidentally.
There's a difference between accidentally and doing it all the time. Like, I know a YouTuber that he says he has his Discord link in his description. He does not.
I have a Discord link in my description. It doesn't work. But no one ever asks. So I never care. No one ever joins. And there's nothing in the Discord anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's there. All these links are there. No one ever uses them, but they are there. It was the craziest thing, right? I remember on the stream one time, I'm like, yeah, I have other channels. They're like, really? And they go to my main channel, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. What? What? Put two and two together, people. Rocket science.
No, well, that's just like me with my second channels. I mean, I used to do the second channels until I just realized they're a lot of work.
Well, I've been being discouraged by podcasts recently because it's just like I go through all this work on these podcasts. I'm just like, these are never gonna work. But I'm just like, I don't know, sunk cost fallacy. I'm this far into it. Might as well just keep going. Whatever. Yeah. I did take the last 3 weeks off because it was just I didn't feel like doing a podcast during the week and then editing it, and it's been nice. Now I'm doing 2 podcasts in 1 week, and I'm like, I hate myself, apparently. Apparently, I'm just went 3 weeks without any of that worry and stress. Now it's just like, here we go. Now I gotta do it. The worst thing.
I do that to myself every now and then. I'll sit there and I'll sit there and get 2 weeks ahead on recordings. I'll be like 2 weeks ahead. I won't worry. But then, in the back of my mind, I'll get lazy.
Yep.
I'll only start doing the bare minimum just to make it float. And by the end of that month, I am sitting there one day recording 9 videos.
That's me with the dishes. Yep, they were piling up this week. And the worst part was, I could have kept going a few more days without doing the dishes. And I was just like, I just staring at my freaking kitchen countertop, and I'm just like, this is a disaster. An absolute disaster. And then I opened up the dishwasher to, like, put dishes in there last night, and I went, shit, this is half full already.
Oh, yeah.
No!
I mean, the only reason I like staying on schedule, though, is because when you got people you pay, you want to respect their time. I mean, my editor, I gotta give him credit. He puts up with a lot of projects last second. There's no telling how many times I've given him a project that's due within 4 hours.
Oh.
He loves me on those days. I've done it twice, about 2 or 4. But usually I give him at least 12 hours of notice.
12 hours. I couldn't.
That's being late. That's like being really late with the video. We try to stay at least 2 days ahead. Like right now, as I currently sit, I am about 1 day. So technically, I'm 2 days ahead. But what's wrong?
Oh, I've got a video coming up in February that I know is going to take 8 hours of editing minimum. Because the last one I did, so like I have this style of video that the last time I did it, it took me 8 hours to edit it. It was insane. I've never had a video take that long to edit. And it took me 8 hours. It would have taken me more time, but my editor couldn't handle what I was doing and kept crashing anytime I tried to do any changes to the end. They were very minor changes. It was like, do this, do that, but it could not handle it. Like, it's good enough as is. No one's really going to make it to this last part of the video anyways. It's just the wrap up. I don't need this part. It's fine as is. And I just sent it. Now, for the next time I do it, so this one that's due in February, that I haven't even written, may I remind you, I haven't written it. I haven't filmed it. It's just an idea that's been written on my board for like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. It's just been sitting there taunting me. I have to sit down. I'm not looking forward to it. It's going to be a great video. I absolutely love the idea. It's a cool idea. But God, it's going to take some time.
I wish I had that.
Time that I'm slowly running out on and that I need to actually start working on it. I started doing videos where I didn't have to write anymore because I was just tired of writing scripts and having to like halfway memorize a script and read off the teleprompter behind me. I gave up. So I was like, all right, let's do it this way. Now, this video idea came to me on the way to work one day, I think. And I was just like, damn, that's a good idea. I really like that. But anyways, well. Oh, good. I thought that said 1 hour, 51 minutes, and I was about to throw a fit. But anyways, I don't know what happened to us to script. This is how these podcasts always go. I'm always like, yeah, sure, let's do one more segment. We'll discuss this thing. We'll discuss it for 5 minutes, and then it turns into something else. It's always how it is. Do you have any final words for the kiddos, one person that watches these podcasts? Any final words before I end it?
Take every day as it could be your last. Remember, nothing's too big. You can always handle it all. And if you don't believe me, look at Buck. He's still around. So
absolutely,
that's gotta say something for the world.
Certainly does. Anyways, I would like to go off watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Podcasts are back. Every month, every Friday. noon Central Time, and good night.